So recently I had posted a video covering some details and specs surrounding a new signature guitar from Jackson Guitars. And I did see some interesting conversations in the comment section. A lot of people showing a little bit of frustration just not having the actual legitimate signature bare knuckle pickup set on the import line for these Misha signature Juggernaut guitars. So I thought this would present a potentially interesting topic for a separate video. We're gonna be talking about signature guitars and signature pickups. So let's get into it. Now, typically with guitars in all categories, we're gonna have essentially two different lines. You're gonna have your high-end, your core models, probably coming from like a USA custom shop, maybe Japan. Then you're gonna have your more cost-effective import line. So we're talking factories maybe coming from China, Indonesia, or Korea, just to name a few. So let's call it what it is. High-end guitar pickups are pretty expensive. We're going for like your top tier recognizable brand names. These come with a pretty extensive cost. Let's look at a couple examples here from bare knuckle. Factoring everything in, you're pretty much looking at $300, $400, pushing $500 on a set of pickups. You got to factor in just the margins. You have lead time. You've got something coming from another country, customs, duties, fees, tariffs, whatever the case may be. These are all different things to look at the total cost to get your hands on the actual product itself. Let's look at the Steve Vai signature. This one's going to have the USA DiMarzios, right? You've got the Jackson Misha Mansour signature. This one, of course, is going to have the bare knuckle juggernauts. Let's look at the Kirk Hammett signature from ESP. It's going to have your full line EMGs. And then when you look at your counterparts, like I said with the Jackson, you've got a house brand pickup. You've got the Steve Vai house brand pickup on the Gem Jr. And then you have the KH202, the import line from LTD. You're going to have an ESP design pickup. And I just think that as customers, we just need to understand that in order for these manufacturers to hit those target price points, to get that $1,000 or less range, there's going to have to be some sacrifices. You're going to be able to save a lot more money when you go with like a private label, a house brand, off brand, run of the mill pickup. Perhaps they can replicate some of the same specifications as the USA version of those pickups, or perhaps like the bare knuckles. I'm sure there's a decent amount of work that goes into it. They're trying to figure out how to voice similar pickups at that competitive price point without going name brand. I think most people, one of the defining characteristics of a signature guitar is going to be the pickups. It is a little bit of a tricky subject because a lot of times people, the reason they're buying an artist signature guitar is because they want to feel that they are achieving just the overall, the tonal presence of what that instrument is going to offer. Main ingredient is going to be your pickups. But once again, going back, looking at cost, right? If we're talking retail on a set of bare knuckles, we're talking $400 and the price point on the guitar is $1,000. We're talking 40% of the total value of the retail price of the instrument is just in pickups. I mean, that's just not going to work. The manufacturers produce the instruments go to the dealers sell to the consumer. So like everybody's got to have margin every phase in the process. And when you have such a steep cost in pickups, I just don't really see this happening on an import line guitar. In my opinion, again, totally okay. Some guys may disagree. Let's keep it in a productive conversation here, but I don't think it's a realistic expectation to have $300 to $500 retail valued pickup set in a $600 to $1,000 import line signature guitar. I remember as a kid growing up when I was 16 years old, I had an LTD KH202 and I bought it used at the time on eBay. And as opposed to the standard Duncan design pickups that it would have come with, this one had like the 81, 85 active EMG set. And man, like when you're a kid, dude, and you get a guitar and it's like, bro, you got those EMGs, like it feels special, right? It feels special. It's one of those things where if you're a kid growing up, you're a fan of like Metallica and all those kind of bands, right? Automatically, we associate EMGs as a defining ingredient in producing those sounds that you know from these artists. So being able to get that guitar at such a cheap price, I mean, I probably bought it used. Somebody had already swapped out the pickups. I don't know, maybe $300, $400 at the time. We're talking 16 years ago. And it was a big deal. And it really made me happy as a young dude just picking up the guitar. We can go back and look at another example with that Jackson, that Roman signature baritone. Fantastic guitar. Another instance where we have like a house brand pickup set. Go back and look at other rig rundown videos for Ginger. I mean, if you look at the ODs he used to play, one of the defining characteristics in that tone was the bare knuckle painkiller pickup set. But as I said before, the purpose is to target a $1,500 price point. You're not going to have 400 something dollars in pickups on a $1,500 guitar. I don't see like where the margin is going to be in a guitar at that particular price range. It's different, right? When you're talking about something at that $3,000 or $4,000 price point for like a USA custom shop Jackson, maybe like, again, going back to like the Misha Mansour signatures, across that greater spread, just making up a number here, don't quote me on this, let's just say we're talking a 40% margin. You've got 40% margin on a $4,000 guitar versus a 40% margin on a $999 guitar. That higher price point, you've just got so much more room where we can cover that cost, right? Ultimately, it's going to come down to the person. I can understand the frustrations for those of you guys that feel like you're getting ripped off at some of these import line guitars. What I would personally do if you're finding yourself a little bit disappointed with stock pickups, it's going to be hard to buy those guitars $1,000 and justify the cost to put in your own pickups. But hey, if you run across a used example, maybe on like Guitar Center used or Reverb, maybe instead of $1,000, maybe you're paying $700, $600. And then sometimes you can find people parting out guitars that already have upgraded pickups. So if you can save yourself some cash going used on the guitar and the upgrade, maybe you can do it yourself, watch a tutorial and save yourself some cash. So a quick recap, again, I do understand both sides, the business side as well as the consumer side. I know as fans of different like artists, different bands, it's important, right? And we obviously make purchasing, buying decisions often based on emotion more so than logic. So when you see that artist name on the instrument, right, you're going to get that personable connection. That's really where people get excited to buy, which of course why these artists are collaborating with these companies, because they want to sell signature guitars. And at the same time, I do understand people feel a little bit deflated when they're not able to get that true artist sound with the signature pickups on the signature guitar. Again, we just have to look at cost to manufacture. We have to look at margins. We have to look at inflation and of course, manufacturing efficiency. In my view, from a production standpoint, if you have a specific overseas manufacturer, they can build the body, build the neck, do their own electronics, everything in-house versus, body and neck here. Hey, we're waiting on X amount batch of bare knuckles or Lundgrens or DiMarzios to come in from a different country. That's going to prolong the manufacturing process. So if it's going to cost more time, it's likely going to cost more money. So to focus on efficiency to hit that target price point, I do understand why they're going to pretty much do everything in-house, keep it overseas. They're going to go with something in-house just to kind of replicate the voicing from your full line brand pickups. So those are my thoughts. Share your feedback in the comments section down below. Hey, it's okay. We could agree to disagree. We can still be friends. We can still talk about it. Let's have a clean, healthy, productive conversation, because that's what we do on this channel. I like to talk about gear, all that kind of stuff. So if you aren't interested, please subscribe. Definitely appreciate all the support. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. I will be sure to see you guys in the next video. We've got a lot of exciting content to look forward to. Have an awesome day.